we are in parsha Shoftim, and the article is page 1024. We'll start. It starts this. Well, we'll just start. You'll see what's going on. Shoftim v'shotrim, it says judges and officers that you will put in all of your gates, which means the cities. That Hashem, your Lord, is giving to you for your tribes. V'shavtu et ha'am mishpat tzedek, and they will judge the nation with righteous judgment. So, first of all, the question is, why do you need Shoftim v'shotrim? So you can answer that this is going back to what Yitro advised Moshe about: set up a court system so that not everybody has to come to you or what do we have it, because you're going to wear yourself out. That's certainly one of the explanations that goes into this. If you look at the article, it says right here, previously the Torah implied that there had to be standing courts to resolve disputes. Here the Torah gives the formal command that such courts be established in every city of Eretz Yisrael with a Sanhedrin or high court for each tribe. In addition to judges, the Torah requires the appointment of officers to the court who would have the responsibility to enforce the decisions of the judges and would circulate in the markets and streets to enforce standards of honesty and summon violators to the court for adjudication. Most of this parsha deals with commandments directed to the leaders of the nation because their conduct has a powerful influence on the rest of the people for good or for bad. And in addition, the Torah warns forcefully that decisions of the Sanhedrin must be obeyed, for God granted its sages the power to interpret the Torah's laws on a day-to-day basis. If there were to be a breakdown of respect for their interpretation, the downfall of the nation could not be far behind. Such a breakdown will lead to anarchy, with the Torah being fragmented into many Torahs. And this is, now, within that statement, there's a lot of history going on here from the article that people, if they don't know the history, they don't really appreciate what's going on. One is we have to understand that the Torah is telling us that while we're in Israel and while we had the Sanhedrin, we had what's known as smicha. That's rabbinic ordination. What we have today is not smicha. What we have today is, as the Gemara calls it, permission to carry out civil law. So really, rabbis today are not, quote unquote, the rabbis of yesteryear. We're just the enforcers. We don't have the ability to adjudicate capital cases, or for that matter, there's many cases we can't get involved with fines. We can't levy fines upon people according to the Torah's level of fines. So in other words, if somebody would steal an ox, we couldn't charge them. An ox is 5 times. So we couldn't charge them 5 times the cost, because that's a knas. We don't have the ability to do that. So our ability as rabbis is quite limited. We're just, what's the expression? I forget the expression that the Gemara calls it, but we're just the ones who carry out the decisions of yesteryear. I forget what they called it. I can't remember the expression.
They can enforce the single payment, though.
The stealing, we can do civil law, we can do that sort of thing. But again, we can't do capital crimes. That's why, even though there is a very nice thing if we could all set up courts in our little towns here, it's not really done except until you get the major towns like Chicago, Boston, LA, whatever it's going to be. You have those places, New York, but you have people where they have courts set up. And what happens in those courts is normally gerus or divorce. That's the 2 big things, gets or us. It's getting or us. That's what it goes into. The RCA, through the Beit Din of America, it's the same organization, tries to bring the Beit Din to a higher level and does adjudicate the cases of civil law and that sort of thing. But they're only operational if the parties sign the arbitration papers, saying that we will abide by this arbitration. But really, we have no power whatsoever if they don't give it to us. Okay, that's number one. So that's why you don't see courts in every town. Also, we're not obligated because it's only applied to in Eretz Yisrael. The other interesting thing here is that while we should be adjudicating cases on a day-to-day basis, interpreting the laws of the Torah, still in all, who is going to take the responsibility for that? The Sanhedrin had what we call siyata d'shmaya. They had the help of heaven. So when they were adjudicating, then it was seen as if God himself, as it were, Kaviyachol, was helping them. So they had, their decisions were much more binding than, let's say, today, where we would have decisions. Let's face it, if you get 3 rabbis in a room and we finally actually do make a decision that everybody agrees with, that's only the 3 rabbis in the room who agree with that. You go to another room, they don't agree with those 3 rabbis. And which is why you have so many fights today in the rabbinic world as to what standards should be. And even in kashrut, we were talking about kashrut originally, that the OU disagrees with the Chav K, the Chav K disagrees with the Star K, and they all agree to disagree with the Half Moon K, or now it's the RU, but the Triangle K. Okay, they all agree that certain things, but that's what it is. And they'll agree for different reasons. So the enemy of my enemy is my friend, sort of thing. Okay, but that's what you're getting into. So now, with that background, now let's look at the verse again. Shoftim, it says you have judges, but what do you need after that? Shotrim. Because what happens after I judge the case, you may decide you don't like my judgment. Well, you don't have a choice. Now I have to have the enforcers. And the enforcers have to go out and enforce those rules, because otherwise there will be a breakdown in what's going on. So but it has to be a mishpat tzedek. It has to be a righteous judgment. So what does that mean? Let's run through the psukim, you'll see what that means. Lo tata mishpat. You shouldn't, how do they say it? You shouldn't bend it. Pervert justice, lo takir upon him. You shouldn't recognize faces. What does it mean I shouldn't recognize a face?
Be biased.
Against what?
Really?
What?
How someone appears.
How somebody appears? Okay, so he says like this. Rashi is saying, lo takir upon him, up ishada tanot, even the time that they are making their claims. The claimants are coming up and they're making the claims to you. Remember, there are no lawyers in the Jewish system. We just want the truth. We're not interested in all the fanciful stuff of lawyers telling us what they believe should be done. No, and there's no jewelry here. You have 3 rabbis, 23 rabbis. How many rabbis are on? Depending on the size of the Beit Din, that's what you're looking at. So azhar l'dayan. So we give a warning to the judge. Shlo yeh rach lezeh and kasher lezeh. You shouldn't be soft to one of the guys and hard on the other guys. You don't yell or stern. You have to be equal with treatment. You shouldn't have one standing. You shouldn't have one sitting. When they see, because what happens when they see that the judge is honoring his friend, that's when he knows his claims are worthless. So as a judge, I have to be totally equal to the people. I cannot show favoritism. Okay, and that's part of mishpat tzedek. V'lo tikachot shochad. They cannot take a bribe. Why can't I take a bribe? And Rashi says the strange thing, afilu lishpot tzedek. Even if he's taking a bribe from the guy who's right. Why can't I take a bribe from him? Why shouldn't I get paid? Think about that. In those days, again, it's not like we have today. A judge is paid by the system, and you go on with life. In those days, they didn't have sitting courts that were being paid by the government. You got 3 rabbis together, 3 people who knew the halacha. They had to be rabbis. 3 people who knew the halacha, who had smicha. Actually, they did have to be rabbis. They had to have smicha, so they would get together, and they weren't paid for this. The middle of the day, you're coming to them, bothering them, and you have a case. And they have to listen. They have to go back and forth, adjudicate the case, and all the meantime, they're not getting paid. So the Torah says, lo tika shochad. You can take a shochad, a bribe, even to do the right thing. Why?
Precedents.
Say it again?
Precedents.
What about the precedents?
Precedents.
What about a precedent?
Oh, you take bribes, you can sway the judgment.
You're not swaying the judgment. You're doing it. He's saying you can't take a bribe even to judge correctly.
Right.
You're not swaying anything. It's judge is.
You said at present that we can take bribes.
You're saying a president to take bribes. Okay. Yeah. What do you want to say?
I'm trying to clear up what you're saying. You're saying you're making a precedent that they can take bribes.
Okay. So I hear you.
But you can change it back.
Right. He could change it back. Good. So then he says why? Why? So the Torah says itself. Ki hashochad ya'avir einei chachamim, because a bribe blinds the eyes of the chachamim, of the rabbis. V'salef divrei tzadikim, and it makes their words crooked. It makes righteous words crooked. Okay. Rashi explains. Ki hashochad ya'avir, when the shochad will blind. When they accept the bribe from him, it's impossible that his heart will not be inclined toward him to turn it to the good. So, and then it says it spoils divrei tzadikim, righteous words, devarim hamustaqim mishpat and emet shoch mahapich l'saleh sheker. So it's going to make the truth false. So that's why you're right. It's all correct what you're saying. You don't want to take that the bribe. Then it says, so that's all because it says, Shaftu Am Mishpat Tzedek. Then it says, finally, to end this off, Tzedek Tirdov, righteousness you shall pursue. Why? What's the point there, by the way? It's also interesting that he says double language. You shall surely pursue justice, righteousness. And then it says, so Rashi says, Halach Achar Beitin Yafeh. What does that mean? It means I have to go to a court that is known to be a good court. That's also something. Apparently, and Rashi is learning out from this, or maybe it was in his time, that they were crooked Batei Dinim. The biggest claim you have today about Batei Dinim is that they're crooked. That's why people don't want to go. That's what they claim. I hope it's not true, but that's what they claim. That Beit Din, they're crooked, they just take our money and they don't care. No. So Rashi says right away, go after a Beit Din that has a good reputation. So you shouldn't just go for three people who are just balabatim and people off the road and say, okay, judge the case. Okay, so that's one thing. And then it says, now why do I have to do this? Laman tichya, in order that you shall live, v'yirash et haaretz, and you will inherit the land, asher Hashem noten lach, that Hashem is giving to you. So what's going on there? So Rashi says, Kedayu menoy hadiyanim kisharim lechiyot et she'elo shivan al adotam. It is fitting that he appoints kosher, quote unquote, proper judges to cause the people to live and to dwell on their land. Because what happens is, if we judge incorrectly, if we pervert justice, that's the one thing that, amongst many things, but that's one of the few things that Hashem just can't abide by. You have to deal with justice. Justice is justice. Do it properly, and you'll live a long time on the land. If you start perverting it, you won't be on the land. Okay? So it's very interesting. So not only do I have to judge properly by not taking bribes, by not recognizing faces, by dealing with people in a very fair way, not showing favoritism to anybody, for whatever reason. And by the way, what will be the reason? Let's say I'm going into other stuff that we've learned already, but let's say I have a rich person and a poor person with me. So I may say, look, the rich person has to support the poor person anyway with tzedakah. So what I'll do is, even though the poor person is the criminal here and the rich person is right, I'm going to rule in favor of the poor person, support him. But then after the court case, I'll tell the rich guy, really, you were right, but I want you to give him tzedakah. So you can't do that. And the other way, let's say he's a rich guy and the other poor guy again, same scenario, only this time the rich guy is guilty, but you say to the poor guy, and you drudge for the rich guy because you say, how can I embarrass him? Can't embarrass him. Then I'll tell him after the case, you know what?
He won't donate to the show.
What?
If I embarrass him, he won't donate to the show.
Right. Okay, that's awesome. But then you tell them afterwards, look, really you were guilty, really you should have paid the guy, but I didn't want to embarrass you. So either way, you can't show favoritism. It doesn't matter if they're high or low in that. Yeah, also it gives a donation. Which show?
Any show.
No, Midwest Torah Center. All checks must be made out. You have to get that right. All checks must be made to Midwest Torah Center. Okay. Then we also have, right after that, and parsha Devarim is, we have to understand, the Sefer Devarim, there is a klal gadol, a major rule, that the parshiyot are connected. And if you look in your art scroll, you will see that there's a break in the line, right? Between lach and then lo tita. So really that's what, that was the top one, Shoftim, that parsha, that chapter ended with noten lach. Now we have a new chapter, even though it doesn't say in the number, because the Goyim, Jerome, I think, when he made up the number system, he didn't follow the way we count. That's why their chapter and verse is different than our. If we would go by chapter and verse for us, it would be different. Because we would have been on chapter 1, whatever chapters would have been, and then the first verse would have been 1 and not 18. Okay, so that's all from the Goyim that were following their things. The reason, by the way, you know why we follow the Goyim? When it comes to how we break down the verses and the chapters? Say again? No. So what would we care? I don't care what they do in their books. Why would it be necessary? Because when we were debating them, so if I'm going to debate you and I'm going to say it's in parsha Shoftim, what is parsha Shoftim? Sorry, right. So that's why we use their number system. Again, I think it's Jerome. That's why we use that number system and that grouping. I heard some rabbis, I'm talking about the Shlah, other people at that level, they never used the numbers. They would refer to parsha Shoftim or whatever. They would just give the headline, and you would have to know what they're talking about. So it's only the people who are caring about dealing with the non-Jew that would use.
So you would say something like parsha Shoftim pasuk aleph.
Well, you wouldn't say that either. You say some parsha Shoftim.
In parsha
Two of parsha Shoftim, Shoftim v'Shotrim, and they go on. Yeah, because again, who am I talking to?
Right.
If I'm talking to a religious Jew, he doesn't understand Chav Beid Yud Chet. What does he care? Where are you? Can you imagine? I tell everybody, okay, today we are on chapter 16, verse 18 in the book of Deuteronomy. Rabbi, what parsha is that? Shoftim, Shkoyach. Okay, because I'm in a different book. I don't, So we really don't get involved in unless I'm writing a scholarly paper that I want to publish in a journal. Then I may put that down, but otherwise, I'm not going to put it down on the other stuff. We just say it says it's state in the Torah. That's what you're going to say. Okay, so anyway, the reason I'm saying all this is because it's connected. This next verse becomes connected to the previous one. And it says, Lo titalecha asherah kol eitz of mizbach Hashem lokecha asher taseh, that you should not plant an asherah tree. Again, or any tree that they would, these goyim would worship, the idolaters would worship. And where they used to plant it? Near the, where shouldn't we do this? Near the tree, the altar of Hashem that you're making. And again, lo takim matzeva, you shouldn't direct a matzeva, that Hashem, your God, hates. So why? So Rashi says, what's the connection here? He says, wait, is he it? No, he doesn't say it. Okay, the reason this is connected here is because I think the Ramban must be the one saying it.
It says in Avodah Zarah.
What?
It says in Avodah Zarah.
No, but I'm saying the reason it's connected is because they used to put this near their court cases. Near the courts that they would have. They would all be in one room basically. Their idols, everything else. So Hashem is telling us, don't do what they do. Don't imitate them. That's really what he's saying. Don't imitate them. Don't plant an Asherah or any tree near the Mizbeach of Hashem, because that's how they would do it, and that's where they would adjudicate their case. I'm pretty sure that's the Ramban. I don't know. I forget somebody said that.
The Ramban says
Yeah.
because they would landscape the temples in order to attract worshippers, but then later in that note it also says in Masechet Avodah Zarah that the reason they're together is because someone who appoints an unqualified judge
Oh, there you go.
is similar to someone who plants.
There you go. There you go. I knew something like that. Good. Thank you. Where's this at?
Right on the
Oh, forbidden trees.
yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. I knew I read it, so I didn't remember where it was. Okay. Good. That's what's going on here. Now, I don't want to cover everything. I want to go further into the parsha. And where was it? So, yeah.
What if a tree starts growing there?
We're not, a tree can start growing anywhere. You don't have to knock it down. We're talking about a tree that they would worship.
I know, but what if a tree that they would worship just starts growing there? Growing near the bear?
Well, knock it down. Knock it down. Yeah. So let's go to. I'm sorry. Where is it? Right here. I want to skip. I'm going to be skipping around at this point because this parsha is really power packed. Let's go to 17, chapter 17, verse. It's on page 1028. It's verse Yutet. Vaheti email. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's go a little farther up. It's here. I'll go to Shani. It's easier to show. Yud-Daled. I'll run through it and you'll see what's going on. Kitav, you have it? Yud-Daled on page 1028. Okay, we're talking about setting. We're going to come into the land. We're going to have this command to put a king up. So it says, Kitavo al arts. When you come to the land, that Hashem your Lord has given to you. V'rishtan, you will inherit it. V'yashavtaban, you will dwell in it. V'yamartan, you will say, Asima alai melech. I will put upon myself a king. Kechol hagoyim. Like all of the nations that are around me. That's your first mistake, by the way. Why do we have to follow the goyim? Okay, so it's something that the rabbis do hit us up on. The rabbis are hitting this up and saying, where is it? Here again. Look to the king in Israel. It says Israel is a nation that had 3 commandments once it was established in the land. One is to request a king, but that's not going to be a commandment that, again, the language is strange. Let's just stay with a second. 2, to eliminate the offspring of Amalek, and 3, to build the temple. Thus, it was not only permitted but commanded that at some future point the nation should request a king. Moreover, the prophecies about Messianic times, which represent Israel at its highest level, revolve around a king from the Davidic dynasty. 2 of the saddest episodes after Israel arrived in this land, the graven image of Micha, which we're reading about on Monday night, and the atrocity involved in the concubine of Gibeah, again, we'll get to that too, same thing, are described by Scripture as having been possible only because there was no king in Israel. Had there been the leadership and discipline of the righteous king, he would never have permitted such outrage to take place. Clearly, therefore, kingship is a desirable condition. Nevertheless, when the people asked the prophet Shmuel to give them a king so that they could be like all surrounding nations, Shmuel responded with disappointment and anger. They should have asked for a king who would lead them, inspire them, and set as an example of selfless, and a wholehearted service to Hashem. But instead they wanted a king merely to imitate their neighbors. Was it God's goal for Israel that to be no different than any other nation which aspires only for glory, wealth, and conquest? Because the desire of the people was wrong, their first king, the righteous Shaul, could not keep his throne permanently. In our passage, the Torah prophetically foreshadows the improper motive of the nation's request of Shmuel, because here the Torah introduces the commandment to ask for a king with the very words that were improperly said to Shmuel, namely, like all the nations around me. So whether or not we were supposed to have a king, that's it. There's really a very big argument about that. The Ramban and Rav Hirsch are clearly saying that when we ask for it, like all the other nations, we're asking for the wrong reason. Okay, now, that being said and done, it says, the command is, Som Tasim Alecha Melech, should put over you a king, asher yivcha Hashem l'kecha bo, that Hashem will choose him. How is he going to choose him? That's also an interesting question. Mikarav achecha, it must be from your brothers. In other words, it can't be a non-Jew. And for that matter, it can't be a convert, because he's not achecha. And it can't be a woman, because she's a sister, not a brother. So, and then tasim alecha melech, you will put over you a king. And by the way, this was part of the Israeli fabric. Can we, one second, can we have a convert as prime minister or on our boards? Or if this becomes a problem in synagogues, can we have a convert on the board? Because again, they have rulership. If you make him the president or just a member of the board, they have what we call shurara, rulership over the runnings of the place. So they're not allowed to, according to this. Or a woman, correct, or a woman. All these things. So it became, and that's why when Rav Moshe, I know he has a question in his book, in Igros Moshe, but he was asking, it wouldn't become a president of the shul. Okay, I know somebody asked him that. I forget if I knew I don't even remember if I remember the reason. If I remember his answer. But this is where it's coming from. Yeah.
Is there a word for queen in Hebrew?
Malka. Malka is how you say queen. But it says Mikar Vachecha. So if it would have said, by the way, Asher Yicha Hashem Elokim Bo, and that Hashem will choose him, then you could have learned Ba. You could have said, because Hebrew is always defaulting to the masculine anyway. But when you say Mikar Vachecha, those extra words, now you can't say that it's referring to a woman anymore. It means through your brother, and not the other. Again, not the other groups. Yeah.
So if the queen is married to the king, would she have any authority at all, or is she just married to the king? And also,
we all know that women have. We all know that women have authority.
Beyond that influence.
You have to respect her. It's like the same thing would be like the rabbi with the Rebbitzin.
Right.
You know, I'm not, again, they're big Rabban.
I'm saying
so,
legally in halacha, wouldn't have any authority as a queen. And follow up on that would be, what about Queen Athaliah, who admittedly was not a great person, but she was a queen.
Who was the Queen Athaliah?
She was the one that murdered all of her relatives, and then she was assassinated by the guards, and I don't remember which king it was.
What's her Hebrew name?
I thought it was Athaliah.
Never heard of her.
And then her son was the one that was hidden in the Kadosh Kadoshim for like the first several years of his life.
I think what it would be is like this. I don't know the case, so I can't really comment on the case, but I would think it would be like the case of Herod, where Herod was also called king, even though he couldn't be king according to the law. So, again, if you have a despotic person going out there and has the power of the army behind them,
They mention her in the Haftarah.
Okay, so right.
They mention it in the Haftarah.
I'm not denying it. I just don't remember it. Again, it's certain. You have to show it to me, but I would say something like that she, according to this, she wouldn't have the power.
Okay.
But again, if you're going to usurp the power, you're going to usurp your power. Again, the one who has we always say, Balamea Baladea. The one who has the money he's the intelligent guy. He's one who makes decisions. So if she has the army behind her, and the loyalty of the army, so again, she's going to do what she's going to do. Yeah. And certainly if she's killing her own kids. It's like Avimelech when in Shoftim when he kills out his brothers.
Right.
Okay, so he's not going to be a guy to play with. Okay. So then it says, and here it says, the pasuk says very clearly, "Lo tuchal letedalecha ish nachri." You can't put a stranger, in other words, a non-Jewish person, as a king over you. Ashilu achichu. That's not of your brother. So. Okay. Again, that is it's pretty straightforward as to who you're going to pick. He says in 15, although the king had to be chosen by God, it was necessary to fulfill the people to select a Gentile. The sense of the commandment is that if Hashem did not communicate the identity of his king through a prophet, so that the people would have to make their own selection, they were not at liberty to choose a Gentile. Again, we did. We chose Herod. So you're looking for it? If you find it, you tell me. Okay. But I still would answer the same way. Regardless of what's going on, I would say that she did not have, according to the Torah, would not have the power. But we have to, if she was, again, this is a crazy part of it. If, when in the rabbinic world, again, when Rev Moshe, his wife didn't outlive him, right? Okay. Let's assume that the wife would outlive the Rav. Right. We would still have to show her tremendous derech eretz. Yeah. You're still giving her that derech eretz because she was married to the gadol. Right. So same thing with the king. You're going to show her derech eretz, but does she really have the power? As far as I know, she doesn't. Okay, so now what happens? Rock, he says, now here's a king. A king, it's an amazing thing. The Torah is limiting the king. Rock lo yarbel lo susim. You just can't have a lot. You can't give him a lot of horses. He shouldn't increase the horses. And he shouldn't send his nation back to Mitzrayim. What's that? What's the connection there? Where the horses come from? Mitzrayim. So he says you can't send him back to Mitzrayim. Leman harbot sus, in order that he should have a lot of horses. And Hashem said to you plural. Lo tosifun lashub b'derech hazeh od, that you should not again go on that road. In other words, back to Mitzrayim. Why do you think that the king would be commanded not to have so many horses? And those, by the way, let's update this. The king cannot have a lot of tanks. Going to limit you to the amount of tanks or artillery. Why do you think that Hashem would say you can't have so much? No. I want you to think about Hashem's point of view. What's Hashem trying to convince us about? Who's in control? I'm in control. God says, I'm in control. You don't need the army. You don't need these horses. All you need to do is follow my Torah and you'll be successful. So stop putting your stock in the horses, or again, update it, in the tanks or in your artillery. You don't need it. Just follow the Torah. That's what Hashem is saying to us. And then it says, Lo yarbel lo nashim, and he shouldn't have so many wives. By the way, you know how many wives he can have? 18. Okay, the king can have 18 wives. One, right, good luck is right. One is enough. But I think the wives would say about us, one husband's enough. But he would have 18. And the reason we say that is because David HaMelech had 6. And Hashem, and then he gets involved with Bathsheba. So Hashem says to him, I would have given you v'kol. In other words, on this side or that side. So we learn out there, he had 6 times 3 is 18. So you have 18 wives. You shouldn't have more than 2 wives. So now you can ask, what happened to Shlomo? He had 300 wives and 700 pelagshim. And what's the reason, by the way? Lo yasor b'levavo, that his heart won't be turned away. When he has so many wives, they all want something, and he's going to have to start paying more attention to them, and he has to give them. Look what happened to Shlomo. As a result of all his wives, he allowed them to worship idols in Yerushalayim and other places. That even though we have to assume he didn't do it. Still, he was allowing for it. You give your stamp of approval. It is as if you are doing it. Okay?
I found it.
Okay, where is it?
Is the Haftorah for parsha Shkolim.
Where is it? I'm saying, where is it in...
it's in Malachim Beis.
Oh, that's why. It's very late in Malachim Beis, probably.
Yeah.
How late?
She's the daughter of Achav and Yezebel.
Oh, yeah, she beats this product. Yeah. So she kills everybody out.
Yeah,
so by the way...
Yehoash was the only one that survived.
So again?
Her grandson Yehoash was the only one who was saved by the Kohen Gadol Yehoiada.
Okay. So she would not have had power. Right. Again, they're not going to throw her out because she still has the power. That's in the northern kingdom. They weren't run by God per se. There's all the evil kings. Sorry?
She married the king.
Achav is from the northern kingdom, right?
She married the late king of Yehuda.
Okay.
So she married in.
So she married into the southern kingdom.
Right. And then her grandson was Yehoash, who was taken away after everyone else got assassinated.
Right.
And
Okay.
hidden.
Yeah, so I would just say that. I mean, without, it sounds somewhat familiar, but it's shows how much we all look at. You know, I'm not there yet. I'm only in Shoftim. Okay, but it's again, it's something you have to look at and see what the Meforshim would say as to what power she actually had besides the power of the guards killing. I mean, she obviously had some power because
People were listening to her.
people listening. It could be that they were afraid of the results, and since she's coming from Achav and Jezebel, so then and Isabel was on it.
She was terrible.
She was not Jewish. She was a goy, right?
I don't remember actually.
Isabel, I think, was a non-Jew. Whether she converted, I'm not going to argue, but I don't think she was Jewish from birth. Achav was. We know Achav was, but he was a wicked king. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm on the horses. When it's saying
What's her? One more second. I'll say how do they say her name in Hebrew though?
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't say. It's only in the note.
Oh,
They only-
okay.
because it says
So
on
that's
the
why.
right
So
side.
I don't feel so bad. Yeah.
So I'm on the horses. When it says you can't have so many horses because you have to know that God's in charge. So okay, but you can't send them back to Mitzrayim. Does that mean
The people.
the people?
The people shouldn't go back to Mitzrayim. In other words, we don't want the people living in Mitzrayim. And if I want to think about this. If I want to pick up horses, so I want the best horses. In order to do that, I have to station people there so that they can find the horses and then ship them back to me. So I'm stationing them in Galut. God said you shouldn't be living in Galut. You should be living in Eretz Yisrael. So the king can't have, so we shouldn't increase the horses because that will cause people to go back. And I said they should never return there.
Okay, I thought increase the horses and send everybody to Egypt to take over.
No. Egypt means nothing to us.
No, right. So I just didn't know what
Right. So that's what it was. We're not supposed to go back there. What happened was, historically, we did go back there. And we were living in Alexandria. We're living all over the place. And while our kingdom was there. And so much so that if you look at, what's it called? The Apocrypha, Maccabees. So there's 4 Maccabees, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the first Maccabees week gets a story from Hanukkah. But the 2, 3, and 4 is a very interesting historical, I don't know if it's historical, but that's where they get the history from. But they're sending the messages to the people in Egypt saying, come on, you can go back. We have the temple back. And I'd be like, no, thank you. We have our own temple.
They built their own.
Right, we have our own stuff. We don't need that one. We'll send you taxes. But it's so interesting to see that sort of give and take. And they were trying, and there was all 3 different, there was under Ptolemy's rule. So the kingdom was really split up. And when we had our semi-independence for 200, less than 200 years, but 200 years following the Rambam, and we're trying to get everybody home. And people are saying, no, I'm not going home. Yeah.
Didn't that happen with Babylon or Babylonia?
Babylon also.
That was the first temple, right?
That was the first temple, right?
Okay, so they got sent to Babylon and most of them didn't come back.
Correct.
They stayed in Babylon.
Correct. That was the beginning. That was the beginning of what we would experience as the voluntary diaspora. We are now living in a voluntary diaspora. That's what we're living in. We who live in the United States of America are voluntarily not moving to Israel because nobody's stopping us. We can all move en masse if we want to. El Al, we're only too happy to take our money, or Tower, or any other airline, and all we do is sell everything out, and we can go. There's nothing holding us here. Absolutely nothing. No government is holding us here, right? So this is what we call the voluntary diaspora. Oh, welcome back. Yeah.
Is Israel without us changing what we do, Israel is still a diaspora, right? It's not the Holy Land.
Correct. No, Israel is a holy land, but because the Mashiach is not here yet, so we would still say that is also part of the Galut. But let's face it, if I have let's look at this building. If it's a hot day and the mosquitoes are flying around you, and you are outside of the building because you don't have the key to get inside the building, okay? Then you want to get in that building, right? So now I give you the key to the building, but I don't give you the key to this room. Let's assume this room is locked. So outside in the hall, the air conditioning is not as good as the air conditioning right here. That you just have to walk through to fill that. Okay, so now you have to make a choice. Would I rather be on the outside with the mosquitoes, inside with the lousy air conditioning, and peering into this room, if you will, to think, oh, if I can only get there. And then let's say I even let you into this room now, but you can only move so far. Okay, so it's all degrees. Eretz Yisrael is still Eretz Yisrael. It's still a mitzvah to live in Eretz Yisrael. Regardless of our level of galut that we're in, it's still a mitzvah, a Torah-idic mitzvah for us today to live in Israel. Still, the mitzvah never went away. And so now we would have an obligation. That's the mitzvah. We have an obligation to go. We have leniencies why we don't go. I'm not going to argue that. But the point is that we have that mitzvah. My point is that those people in Bavel, and we in the United States, and in France, and in Europe for the most part, all can get up off our behinds, cash out from everything we own, and go to Eretz Yisrael and make a go of it. Because then we can go home. And when Hashem decides that we are raw, that we are fitting for Him to bring Mashiach, so again, then we're out of Galut altogether. But where would I rather be? Here waiting for my plane ticket, or there, I'm at home anyway, and He now brings a Mashiach? Great. I'm already there, right? It's just a simple change.
So it's a lesser tier of voluntary Galut, because you're still in Galut.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. We'll have to stop here.